The brain excites those residual memories of the event that. All right, so I've already passed the 33-minute mark, so that means that this is going to be a two-part video series video. Okay, that's how this phone records videos. Hold on a second. That's how this phone records videos. So I'm going to make a couple more statements real fast, and I'm going to let you go. So when you watch this video, keep looking in the description for the eventual second part, because it's going to be a two-part video series. Okay. Now, so anyways, because once I reach this 33-minute mark, it starts to create a new video. So listen to me and listen to me closely. let me talk to you a little bit about post-traumatic stress and gang stalking. These satanic, you gotta remember, the entire crime of gang stalking is based on psychological operations. And psychological operations is how it has to do with how we think, how we feel, the functions of our brain that processes brain states, emotions, thinking processes, which are your EEG signatures. Your emotions are your, they're after EEG signature frequencies by and through creating entrained responses to propped up stimuli. And the stimuli is propped up through the gang stalking methods that are used, which are the sensitization method, dark neurologistic programming, and the direct conversation method. Those are three of many. So what gang stalking does is it can classically conditions, that's a psychological term, the victim to be concerned or over-concerned about something. Now, these concerns are real because this crime does so much to the victim, and it makes sure that the victim knows that everything they experience is being done through gang stalking. That way, like, so let me give you an example. There's a story on the internet that you can find yourself by going to Google and just typing in gang stalking, raping a girl and shoving socks in her mouth. So this is an illustration about how sadistic these sick whores are. They'll stage a rape of a girl or a woman or even a man, and they'll shove a sock in his mouth or her mouth when she's being raped. And they'll taunt her as she's being raped because two guys can be watching her be raped by a third guy. And so while she's being raped and got a sock shoved in her mouth, she can be watching two guys standing right in her field of view that are mocking her and laughing at her and calling her names and maybe saying identical repeated words and phrases, even identical repeated sounds. So when you're being raped, what the brain does is it goes into a disassociated state. It's an innate survival mechanism of the physical brain itself. Okay? And so when the rape is occurring, the girl's mind goes into a disassociated state, and what they're doing is anchoring associations to the disassociated states by and through the repeated acts. If you're being raped and somebody shoves a sock in your mouth, that sock becomes associated to the disassociated state because it's a physical object that's occurring to the body as the body is experiencing the rape. Okay? If the persons who are watching her being raped and mocking her as she's doing it, as she's being raped, everything they do, okay, will be remembered. And in gang stalking crimes, they make sure you see and or hear whatever they prop up right in your field of view, right in your hearing range. So let's say one guy's raping her and two guys are standing right in front of her eyes, and pointing fingers at her while they got the other hand across their mouth, while the other one is pointing a finger and laughing and saying, "Oh my God, what's happening to you, bitch?" Okay? And they'll just repeat the same thing over and over and over again in the same exact identical way. The acts and the words and phrases and the laughter. Then on subsequent days, what this crime will do is prop up people along that girl's route to repeat, "Oh my God." They'll point, they'll laugh, okay? And they'll make sure that the victim sees socks. If the woman gets on a bus, they'll have people come and sit directly across from her, and they'll intentionally roll up their pant legs, and keep pulling up and down on the socks. She can be in a Walmart, and somebody will walk up to her and say, "Did you forget these packages of socks?" Okay, absolutely. While somebody right in the immediate area is laughing while they're saying, "Oh my God," over and over again. What that is doing is that's the stimuli that was experienced during the rape, and as the rape was going on, the disassociation was going on. So those things became associated to a disassociated state. That way, every time they're repropped back up for the victim to hear and or see, the brain recognizes it and goes back into the disassociated state. And so what they're doing is entraining audio representations and visual representations to a disassociated state for the sake of creating auditorial and visual entrainment to a disassociated state. And then they just repeat the same exact identical shit over and over and over and over and over again every day, everywhere that victim goes, for years at a time. And that's done so that once that entrained pathway becomes extremely reinforced, it will produce what is known as a resulting potentiated frequency output from it. That way, in the future, whenever the stimuli is propped up, okay, the brain will immediately recognize it and go directly into that disassociated state. Now, that's a dangerous place to be when you're in the middle of a staged event. And you should also know that when you're in a disassociated state while you're in the middle of a staged event, they can also use voice to skull with voice morphine on you in real time to make you think you're having your own thought about how to respond to the event. Now, another reason why they keep propping the stimuli up around the victim is because they need to make sure, excuse me, that entrained pathway stays reinforced every day. Because if they don't continue to prop up the stimuli, the frequency output connected to that entrained pathway will start to become dormant and then eventually disappear. Let me give you an example about how clever the brain is. Say if you were married in 1982 and your wedding song was Endless Love. And then in 2002, a man gets in his car and he turns on the radio and the song Endless Love is playing. Well, that's going to immediately stimulate the memory of his wedding day. Because that event was a hallmark event in his life that's got a lot of intense emotions connected to it, a lot of intense brain states connected to it. And so even 20 years down the road, it will immediately stimulate that residual memory of his wedding day. If you ever watched the original movie Top Gun with Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis, when Tom Cruise goes to visit Kelly McGillis at her house, somewhat at the beginning of the movie, and that song is playing, I'm sitting here on the dock of the bay, and Kelly McGillis asked Tom Cruise, does it remind you of an old friend? Because that's what memory anchoring is all about in gang stalking. Creating episodic memories, which is a staged rape, and then making associations to it so that when the rape is over and every day after, including for 10 years at a time, literally, they will prop up people along that victim's route to repeat those words and phrases and or sounds. So say if you're experiencing a horrific assault by 5 guys beating you up while on your front lawn and 2 of your neighbors are cutting their lawn with their lawnmowers, that lawnmower sound is going to be associated to that disassociated state that the brain goes into when you're being assaulted. Therefore, when you walk down the street and you hear a person mowing their lawn, it's going to stimulate that disassociated state. Well, that's what gang stalking does. So how are you going to prove that your brain went instinctively into a disassociated state at the time, right after a person walks by you and says, oh my God? How are you going to prove that while you were in that disassociated state, voice to skull with voice morphine was used on you to get you to influence your thought processes concerning how to think, concerning how to act when a staged event's going on while you're in that disassociated state? You should also know this, my fellow American citizens. These psychotic maggots, these filthy, criminally insane, mass murdering animals. And who are the main implicated hosts of this crime? The CIA, the NSA, the DIA, the DOD, DHS, FBI, fusion centers, state, county, and local police, all hospitals, medical centers, and medical clinics that any and all victims go to are eventually implicated because they cover up the traumatic brain injury through the directed energy weapons through hospitals and medical clinics and so on. They make sure that the victim is never allowed to discover any implants that are in them as well. If you want to, I'm going to give you the name of 3 books of hundreds. These are 3 titles of 3 separate books, 3 of hundreds that are out there on the internet right now. The first title is Remote Brain Targeting by Renee Pittman. The second one is Electronic Torture, Electronic Rape, Technology, and Gang Stalking at the Post Office, written by Jewel Cran, Kryan. And the third one is The Invisible Crime by Mike Fitzhugh Bell. So, my fellow American citizens, if nothing is going on, then why are tens and tens of thousands of victims of this crime all over America online daily saying that their brains are being burned alive with directed energy weapons, electromagnetic weapons, that they're being traumatized through massive torture, through ultrasonic sound bone conduction? When you research all my descriptions, your friggin' mind is gonna be blown. You'll never see this world again in the same exact identical way ever. Implants can also be put in the throat so that your subvocal speech and or voice box speech signals can be deciphered from a remote distance. Welcome to remote neural monitoring. You can be excited, neurologically induced through this technology to pick up your fucking phone and make a video and say everything that's coming out of your mouth right now that you could be hearing on any date watching any gang stalking victims video, if you know what I mean, as a direct result of one stimuli being propped up. Because forced speech is directly connected to episodic memories being stimulated and stimuli being propped up. And that can be done in order to create specific speech pattern frequency signals, so they can then be stimulated on later dates and court proceedings after the victim has been set up. Oh, I know that wasn't my thought. That was voice to skull. Can be purposely made to come out of your mouth, so they then now have a normal apparent reason to lock you up, even though the victim was telling the truth. Right? So in closing, let me just tell you this, my fellow American citizens. Oh, the name of another book that you can look up is Brain Implants and Mesogens, Mesogens, Brain Implants and Mesogens, by Dr. Hildegard Staninger. Okay? So, gang stalking is directly connected to mass murder, and most of that murder is done through extreme massive torture. It's connected to rape, gang rape, human trafficking, all extreme forms of human trafficking, slavery, racketeering schemes, medical insurance fraud schemes. Every crime that you can think of, they're directly connected to it, and they're absolutely directly connected to crimes that you would never even think to imagine, including non-consensual human experimentation. I gotta go because I got stuff to do. Today's date is, hold on. Today's date is May 3rd, 4th, 2021. My name is Leslie Williams. I made this video. Let me give you another fast example about what how these 6 psycho whores create the stimuli, and as a result of them being anchored in the victim's mind. So if you're a gangster, because I've seen the tweets on Twitters, I've seen the massive exposures through blogs and YouTube videos. I got a person right now who's following me on Twitter from the United Kingdom, England, who says that his neighbors are constantly yelling abuse, okay, from their apartments to force him to hear it. Okay, hold on a second. You should also go to Google and type in at Google gang stalking ACLU flyer concerning gang stalking. Okay? Hold on. And what that is that when you type in a Google search box, ACLU flyer, FLYER, and gang stalking, you should be able to immediately bring up some websites on the very first amount of search results that come up. It's a blog that's got the flyer in it, and it should come up on the first page of web pages that come up. And you're literally going to see even the ACLU is saying neighbors are being used in this crime. I got the flyer in my backpack, but it's a little bit buried in there right now, and I'm going to dig it out because I got stuff to do. So, always remember when they do things against victims, hold on. Always remember when they do things against victims that they're targeting, they'll create anchors to the initial traumatic event. Like, again, if you're being assaulted through gang stalking, they'll repeat words and phrases, they'll repeat certain sounds, they'll prop up sounds in the environment, they'll mock the victim, whatever. And then on subsequent days, they'll just use different people, okay, to prop up those same exact identical sounds, words, phrases, statements, okay, and physical acts can also be incorporated within it. And then what they'll do then is then just prop it up endlessly through different people every day. And that's how they're forcing the brain to recognize that they're still enduring the same crime every day, because the victim is forced to recognize identical repeated behaviors. And that's needed for the entrainment. That's needed to excite the electromagnetic response. That's needed so that the brain to computer interface implant can execute its functions once it's determining what the brain is processing. Okay? So this is what they're doing to targets. Gang stalking victims are living through every day, literal 24/7, nothing but non-stop torture every single day and night, even when they're sleeping. Research electronic synthetic dreams and gang stalking. Gang stalking victims are reporting enduring electronic synthetic dreams, which is nothing but extremely sophisticated computer graphics interface software that's then intentionally perpetrated for the brain to experience it either through a brain-to-computer interface implant or just through remote neural monitoring, hacking into the visual and audio cortex. And then the visual cortex sees the graphics, and the audio cortex hears whatever dialogue they decided to incorporate within that visual production, just like watching a movie. So we're talking about synthetic dreams of people being raped, animals being hurt, children being hurt. I mean, these are the most evil, sick, demonic fucks that ever walked this planet. They're absolute psychos. Oh, absolutely. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this video into Exposing Court's YouTube channel. I'm going to try and upload it tomorrow. So remember, when you see this video, if I haven't put the other video, like if you run, this will be the second video I'm talking into right now. Because this phone only allows me to make 33-minute long videos at a time, and since I'm at the 49-minute mark, that means that this will be, what you're hearing me say right now is part of the second video. So if you see this video before you see the first one, just go into the account and look for the video that's uploaded right before it or soon after. Okay? And so I gotta go. My name is Leslie Williams. Thank you for listening. They can use any type of sound anchor to make a victim anxious about any type of an original event being repeated, which is why they let the victim know that when the victim suffers this crime, they're going to constantly repeat. They're going to be, periodically, they're going to be subject to events that have attributes that were associated to the first event. Because there's no way they can keep the entrainment going without it. They got to have those correlations. Okay, whatever's correlated to the first event is repeated by and through different people on later dates. Because they need that correlation there to stimulate this disassociation and to entrain the pathway that correlation is connected to. So welcome to your sick bitch government. Your human trafficking, wild, mass murdering, raping, gang raping, human trafficking government. It's all it is nothing but a big, gigantic, organized crime horror. I gotta go. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a good day.